You ever wonder what billionaires, celebrities, and even your next door neighbor knows that you don't? The secret weapon in their arsenal? Offshore trusts. And I should know because my firm and I have set up more offshore trusts than any firm in the nation. So stick around because in the next few minutes, I'll reveal why offshore trusts aren't just for the ultra rich, how they work, and which ones are the best, whether you're protecting your assets from lawsuits or planning to leave a legacy without a greedy lawyer dipping his hand into the pot. Let's talk about the importance of offshore trusts. Let's start with this hard truth. Lawsuits in the US are like mosquitoes in the Florida Everglades. They're everywhere. In fact, every year, over 40 million lawsuits are filed. That's right, 40 million. If you own anything of value, congratulations, you're a target. Did you know that the average business owner faces 3 to 7 lawsuits in their lifetimes? And for high net worth individuals, the risk skyrockets. So offshore trust planning isn't just about protecting your assets from frivolous lawsuits. It's also about keeping the money you've earned away from hefty estate taxes and probate fees, ensuring that your family doesn't face a financial nightmare after you're gone. And let's not forget about privacy. In a day and age where your neighbor's 14-year-old can Google your net worth, maintaining financial anonymity is priceless. Let's take the story of John, a business owner from California. After being sued in a workplace injury claim, his assets could have been frozen overnight. Thankfully, his offshore asset protection trust protected the bulk of his wealth, allowing him to settle without losing everything. So why offshore trust? Let me give you 3 words: protection, privacy, and perks. Let's unpack that. Asset protection. Certain jurisdictions like the Cook Islands, Belize, and Nevis offer powerful asset protection benefits. For example, Cook Islands don't recognize foreign judgments, so your opponent would have to file a whole new lawsuit in the Cook Islands itself, and by that time, the statute of limitations would have likely run out, preventing the courts from allowing the lawsuit at all. Belize in particular has 0 chance of courts approving a lawsuit challenging the transfer of assets into your trust. Flexibility. Offshore trusts also give you control while still offering protection. A Cook Islands trust, for example, allows you to be the trust beneficiary while safeguarding assets from creditors. And with a properly structured Nevis trust, where I've been several times, you can even maintain the ability to make investments. In fact, I have a Cook Islands trust for myself and my family, and I can easily trade stock in my trust online. In fact, I log in regularly. And security. Offshore trusts in the Cook Islands, Nevis, and Belize are really practically bulletproof. In Nevis, a creditor needs to post a bond of up to $100,000 just to file a case. Now, that's a high barrier of entry for a frivolous lawsuit. Now, here's a fun fact. In the over 30 years I've been setting up trusts in the Cook Islands, no creditor has successfully pierced one of the trusts that we've established there. Consider the story of Morgan, a retired business owner from Texas. His offshore trust ensured that his savings stayed intact even when a real estate deal went south and creditors came knocking. These benefits aren't just for CEOs, they're for anybody who's serious about financial security. Now let's talk about types of offshore trusts. Not all trusts are created equal. So let's break this down. Number 1, trigger trust. This is a domestic asset protection trust when legal waters are calm. Then when legal storms hit, the trustee pulls the trigger and puts on the armor plating and turns it into an offshore asset protection trust. And by the way, we're the only firm that sets these up because the term trigger trust is our registered trademark. Purpose trust. These are set up for specific goals like maintaining a family business or funding a charitable cause. Take, for instance, a philanthropist who used a Belize purpose trust to fund educational programs for his children, and another trust to educate kids in underserved communities. A purpose trust can be a tremendous tax-saving vehicle, for example, for charitable deductions, estate tax minimization, or offshore strategies, and its effectiveness really depends on compliance with U.S. tax laws and meticulous structuring. So always seek professional advice when setting up a purpose trust, especially for tax purposes. Offshore asset protection trust. Now, these are the crown jewel. These are designed to keep your wealth out of the reach of creditors, ex-spouses, and even the toughest litigants. The Cook Islands Trust, for example, has a reputation for being impenetrable. A court order? Sorry, Cook Islands doesn't recognize it. For example, we just got done setting up a Cook Islands Asset Protection Trust for a physician in California. And he's not alone. Over 60% of medical professionals will face a lawsuit in their career. And an asset protection trust can be their financial life vest. Let me tell you about an entrepreneur named Alex. He used a Cook Islands Trust to shield his stock market portfolio. When a competitor attempted to sue him out of existence, the trust prevented any assets from being seized. And this isn't just strategy, it's peace of mind. Okay, now let's talk about logistics. Setting up an offshore trust is really easier than you think as long as you follow these steps. First of all, choose the right jurisdiction. Cook Islands for maximum protection. Nevis is a close second. Belize if you've already been served with a lawsuit. And did you know all of these jurisdictions offer a firewall provision, making it nearly impossible for foreign judgments to be enforced? Next, select a reputable trustee. This is where we come in, and this is crucial. A good trustee ensures the trust is managed properly. And yes, they'll follow your instructions because you're the one, with our help, ensures that the trust is drafted according to your wishes. So you're not just giving up control because you're the one who dictates how the trust is drafted. And of course, I should add, it's super important that the trust is drafted properly according to legal statutes. So that's why you want to have, for example, one of the attorneys on our staff draft the trust to make sure it's set up properly for asset protection. One little change in the trust that you might think is okay could leave a gaping hole in its structure. So you'll want to make sure it's set up professionally. Which brings us to the next point. Draft the trust agreement. On this document, we outline the terms, the beneficiaries, the rules of the trust, and it's like a prenup for your money. A solid agreement can make all the difference. And a poorly written trust, well, that's a lawsuit waiting to take your money. So be sure to use a firm with experience. And don't forget ongoing maintenance. Trusts aren't just a set it and forget it solution. Laws change, and so should your strategy. For example, a 2021 case involving a poorly maintained Alaska trust led to a $2 million loss. Don't let that be you. Fortunately, we weren't the ones that drafted that trust. And as an aside, if you do have a U.S. trust, say a living trust, or a trust like this Alaska trust we just talked about, as long as the trust allows change of jurisdiction, we can turn a domestic trust into an offshore trust. So let's make this real with some examples. Dr. Stevens, a successful surgeon, faced a malpractice lawsuit. His Cook Islands trust saved his $5 million nest egg because, well, the Cook Islands court said, no, not our problem. U.S. courts don't have jurisdiction in the Cook Islands. The entrepreneur. Sarah, a tech startup founder, used a Cook Islands trust to protect her investments before raising venture capital. When an investor dispute arose, her assets were untouchable. The family legacy. A retired couple used a Belize trust that we set up to ensure their wealth stayed in the family without lawsuits or future divorces, such as their children divorcing in the future, eating it up. In fact, did you know that over $30 billion in assets are transferred into offshore trusts annually? So these aren't just stories, they're proof that offshore trusts work when done right. Here's a statistic that might blow your mind. Nearly 10% of high net worth individuals globally have at least one offshore trust. So these structures aren't just effective, they're becoming essential. Okay, let's go ahead and bust some myths. First of all, offshore trusts are illegal. Fact, they're perfectly legal when set up correctly. Think of them as a global safe deposit box for your assets. Myth, only billionaires use offshore trusts. Fact, if you have assets worth protecting, an offshore trust is really worth considering. Even if you're just starting to build wealth, it's about planning ahead. In fact, consider a billionaire facing a $5 million lawsuit. To him, it's like batting flies. Then you have Jim with a $3 million stock market portfolio and a few rental properties. A $5 million lawsuit against him would wipe him out. So who needs an offshore trust more? I think we both agree Jim would really benefit the most. Myth, offshore trusts are complicated. Fact, not when you have the right team guiding you. That's where companies like mine come in. At Asset Protection Planners, remember, it's not just about hiding money, it's about protecting what's rightfully yours. So what these structures do is they give you peace of mind in a world where financial stability can be flipped upside down in an instant. So there you have it, the ultimate guide to offshore trust planning. Whether you're protecting wealth from lawsuits, securing your family's future, or just looking for peace of mind, offshore trusts are really a very, very powerful tool, really the strongest tool in our arsenal to protect assets from lawsuits. So if this video made you think, I need to look into this, you're on the right track. You can visit assetprotectionplanners.com. You can schedule a free consultation, and let's craft a custom asset protection plan to safeguard what's yours. And hey, if you found this helpful, please remember to subscribe and share, because protecting your assets is the smartest investment you'll ever make. We'll see you next time. This is The Business Guy.